Ladies and gentlemen, I have an update on the University of Pennsylvania and, them stealing black skulls of people that were formerly enslaved and also black Philadelphians that they had on display for years. So they're divulging a little more information. Plus, I have their lame ass apology, and I'll get around to that soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have they done with these bones that they stole? Well, they said for many years they had these skulls in their advanced anthropology classes, surrounded with a couple of hundred skulls. And, they used them for study, but you remember they stole these slaves, and some of these people were not slaves, but they were all nevertheless black. All right. So the university is still, claiming they're going to rebury at least 13 black Philadelphians whose remains were kept as part as the Morton cranial collection. And they also had several hundred slaves from Cuba. So they knew exactly who these people were. They got a name for them, but they have withheld it all this time. So they have issued an apology, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get to that. So, of course, they're claiming they're going to take action and helping to rebury these folks that they dug up and stole. So this includes the remains of Black Philadelphians with the Samuel G. Morton cranial collection. And as I stated before, they also have the remains of slaves and their skulls. It's amazing. Just amazing. They got everybody's skull except for the people that look like them. They made sure they didn't use those skulls. So the Penn Museum and the University of Pennsylvania apologize for the unethical possession of human remains in the Morton collection. Dr. Christopher Wood, the Penn Museum Williams director, said, "It's time for these individuals to be returned to their ancestral communities where possible as a step towards atonement." No, see, it can't be atonement unless you are trying to right a wrong. And you're really doing this because of the bad publicity. That's not atonement. So, and you're not repairing anything. Are you making the families whole of the people you stole? Of course not. You're not willing to do that. But this lame ass apology should suffice in your mind. And repair for the races and colonial practices that were integral to the formation of these collections. We will also reassess our practices of collecting, stewarding, displaying, and researching human remains. Now, you got to be crazy to even believe this apology, but let's go on. The Morton Collection Committee was composed of museum leadership, staff, anthropologists, and students who have comprehensively evaluating next steps for reburial since last summer. The committee's report, the documents and action plan, as well as fundamental community involvement and resources required for implementation. Hmm. I bet you they didn't contact none of their family. Know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into implementation, the museum will immediately begin the process of working with local communities to understand their wishes for, making this thing right, making people feel whole again. But if we put a hole in your head and put it on display. In addressing the remains of Philadelphians, the museum will now charge a new committee that includes Penn offices of social equity and community, government and community affairs, and the university Kaplan general counsel, and others to explore the options for reburial in historically Black Philadelphia cemeteries. Mm-mm-mm. Well, these folks were in cemeteries until you came along and disrupted their graves, and you selfishly see that you taking them out of the ground to display them at your school. That was a selfish act. That was selfish. Why didn't you go to your people's cemetery and dig up their skulls? We know. You see, you don't respect those people that you had on display. That's why. All right. Mm. So, a new infrastructure for assessing repatriation and reburial request, which will include community council at every stage, is also being established. The process will be modeled after the Native American Graves Protection. Wow. So they had to come up with an act because guess what? They robbed those Native American graves. So is that what y'all do? You take everything, including you won't even let these folks lay in the ground and rest in peace. You're stealing the slaves, the natives, and putting them on display. How about just leaving them alone? You've done enough. You're probably the reason why they're in the grave in the first place. Mm, wow. The museum will also work with Penn School of Arts and Sciences to create a new full time faculty position. This person will have expertise in the analysis of human remains with a record of advocacy for the Black and Indigenous matters and hold a dual position as museum curator and facility member at the Department of Anthropology. There is no one size fit all approach to handling this whole thing, of course not, and reburial in any circumstance. Dr. Woods clarified that each case is unique and deserves its own consideration. This is incredibly sensitive work. And while we all desire to see the remains of these individuals reunited with their ancestral communities as quickly as possible, it is essential not to rush, but to proceed with the utmost care and diligence as we confront a legacy of racism and colonialism. It is our moral imperative to do so. Well, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Do you accept this apology? Do you think it's sincere? Or do you think it's from all the backlash they have received recently, which I believe is the latter? But y'all, please tell me what you think. But you know what? It just goes to show you the lack of disrespect that we see today is very historic. But please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.